Hey guys, and welcome back to Rooted in Blooms. Happy New Year to you all, and I hope your 2026 year is going well. As you can tell, I am not sitting outside in my garden because it is the month of January. And while our temperatures beg to differ that it's winter, we've had temperatures in the 60s, it is still cold and there's really not much to do outside. So the garden season right now is kind of dead. There's not a whole lot to do in the months of winter, but there are a few things those of us, especially starting our own seeds, can go ahead and start doing today. One of the things that I was thinking about this year to do differently was to leverage AI. I was thinking about how I have all these seeds that I start indoors and outdoors. But one of the things that I've done in the past is I have always had to kind of put together my own list of when to plant things out, when to start things indoors, outdoors, when to harvest. And yeah, we could do the math ourselves. It's on the back of the seed packets, but I had an interesting idea. My idea was, can a robot plan my garden better than me? So, without further ado, I am going to leverage AI and attempt to put together a master seed spreadsheet. Basically, a spreadsheet that has all of my start dates and my end dates for my crops I'm trying to grow, flowers, herbs, vegetables, all of that, and then help it determine when I need to start my seeds because we are at the kind of cusp of getting ready to start some seeds for the season, and when I can expect to harvest those crops when they're supposed to be ready based on my growing zone. So, if you are unfamiliar with my channel or you're new here, you may not have seen this, but in past episodes, I have shown you all my stash of seeds, how I store my seeds. Someday we'll go into depth about the method I use, but basically today my goal is to formulate a list, a comprehensive list of all of the seeds I'm planning on growing. And I may or may not even grow all of them, but I'm at least going to input all the seeds I have on hand into some kind of list, feed it to the AI, and ask for it to spit out a spreadsheet with start dates, harvest dates, and the like. So I've got a number of seeds here stashed in these plastic containers that I've got to list out on my computer, and we'll go from there because I think that's step one. Step two, we'll see what the AI gives us back. And step three, we'll see if it's even usable. So last year, this is the spreadsheet that I worked out of, and this is one that I put together myself. I typed in everything manually. I checked the back of all of the seed packets, and I cross-checked getting some of the dates by Googling my frost date and my grow period for my zone 6B. As you can see, I have spring and summer together. I tried to pull fall out separately. I had different years as well, just to try to keep everything in one place. And for the most part, this was pretty helpful. But with purchasing new seeds this year, I thought it would be maybe faster to just start with a fresh list of everything I'm growing and see what the AI would come up with. First, I went to ChatGPT and asked it if it even had the capabilities of doing that, if I provided a list, and it said sure, it could. So I went ahead and typed together the long list of all the seeds I have currently and asked it to provide the type of spreadsheet that I was looking for. And it did provide a spreadsheet relatively quickly, but as you can see, it put all of the varieties together. So we have things kind of generically added. And so I went back and asked if it could break them out a little bit further by crop variety, and then also included a few additional like tabs and stuff to separate the flowers and the herbs and the vegetables. And so it turned around and gave me this, which has the tabs. It even color coded some things, and it separated the varieties, but it wasn't all inclusive to my list. In fact, I told it this isn't all of my vegetables, and it said I was correct. And so it gave me a reason why it didn't do that. And even though I asked it to include it, it kind of went back and gave me a more generic list. So I was really struggling here with the use of ChatGPT. It wasn't giving me the full list right away, and I had to wait a downtime to get it to generate. When it did generate finally, it actually took a couple of sessions because it was the free version I was using. It did finally break down my varieties and everything I asked for. It was a pretty comprehensive spreadsheet here. As you can see, it added a number of columns, some spaces for things like notes. It gave even a breakdown of life cycle, category, all of that, which is pretty helpful, but it also like duplicated some of the entries. So you can see here there's like a number of rows that have no extra data. And then if we scroll down even further, we'll see things like the Caraflex cabbage repeated and also missing data. And so it just was kind of a hit or miss, honestly. I was a little disappointed. Obviously, it was trying its best, but it just wasn't great. And then as you can see, we've got different tabs here to separate the vegetables, herbs, and flowers, but even with that, the tabs aren't full. So my vegetables tab was missing a lot. And again, it just wasn't great. It did try to put together a succession planner, which is kind of cool. It might be helpful. I'll see if I can actually find it usable. With my frustrations with ChatGPT, I went and tried to use Google's Gemini, and asking it the same questions, it said it could do it. So I gave it my list, and very quickly it generated a very similar looking spreadsheet. So you can see here's my typed list, all of the varieties I'm planting this year. And then the first spreadsheet it gave me, it was pretty quick breakdown, but it grouped all of the things together again. So it put like all of my peppers together and all of my tomatoes, but I wanted things kind of broken out. And then it provided me some other additional resources, which was great, but not exactly what I was asking for. So went back to the drawing board, asked it to break down, a few different ways, asking it if it could generate all of my varieties, all of my things. And so it actually broke down into different spreadsheets here, all of my peppers, all of my tomatoes, but I wanted them all in one giant spreadsheet like I'm used to working out of. So it was nice of it to try to break it into separate ones, but I did ask for a master planting schedule, which it did finally generate for me. And as you can see here, though, it again is wasn't 100% perfect. So I went back again, tweaked my prompts to ask again to break out the varieties. I wanted the varieties on each line. I didn't want things grouped. And it finally generated a very comprehensive spreadsheet, which turned out to look like this. I did color code it for my own purposes. We don't have as many columns as what ChatGPT generated for me, but I could certainly take this and expand on it. I feel like for right now, this one is more comprehensive. It's cleaner. They didn't like have weird missing lines like ChatGPT did. So overall, I think Gemini here did a much better job. And this is a list that I will work out of and expand with and may take back to AI. Okay, so experiment done, I guess. What were the outcomes of using AI to help generate a master seed spreadsheet? Well, it was a little messier than I thought it was going to be. I will be honest. I was expecting it to go a lot smoother. I wasn't anticipating running into the problems with ChatGPT where it kept taking forever, and then I would have to like wait an entire day to try to like have it create the spreadsheet again. With that said, ChatGPT definitely did a more robust spreadsheet. It still wasn't perfect by any means. There were still things that were missing. Then Gemini was super easy to use, and it generated things a lot quicker. I feel like it was a smoother process overall using Gemini versus ChatGPT. But even with that, Gemini wasn't as in depth with the spreadsheet it was generating versus what Chat was. Now, could I have asked for a more in depth spreadsheet? Probably. A lot of what boils down with any use of AI is the way that you prompt it and the questions you ask. And so part of my experiment was trying to figure out what is it that I actually need to ask this AI to do? How do I need to word it? Whereas in my mind, it seemed pretty straightforward to create a master spreadsheet based off of the varieties I had. But as you could tell, the robots were they were struggling a little bit. But, I'm so glad I did it. I have kind of a fresh slate, so to speak, for this year's seed. As you could tell, my previous spreadsheet, there were some different columns that I had included and put in myself. Whether or not I'll add those columns back into the spreadsheet I'm going to ultimately use, I am still not 100% sure. I wouldn't mind having a column for the harvest dates, so I may go back in and add that. But for me, for right now, especially this time of year with getting ready to start some seeds here in mid to late January, especially the onions and the leeks, my main concern right now is just knowing when is my start date? Do I start it indoors or outdoors? And when is my transplant date? If I have those, I'm pretty happy. Everything else is really a nice to have, but not needed. So, anyways, I think it went pretty well. A few headaches, a few wrenches in the plan, so to speak. Like I said, I thought this would be an easy to do thing with minimal back and forth with AI, but it turns out they're just not there yet with the request I was trying to make. Hey, thanks for hanging out with me today as I trialed and errored my way through some AI, but I now have my spreadsheet. I am ready for the next steps of the 2026 garden season. So stay tuned. I'll be planning my garden spaces next. So I will literally be drawing out a map of my garden beds, deciding where I want to plant everything. I am already anticipating some changes from last year, so I'm excited to explore those with you all. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, thanks. Take care. Bye.